brothers from the United States founded a school in Tenango in 1959. And the stories that I heard were that it was an 18-hour trip by car to get to Tenango. In 1968, at the Medellin Bishops' Conference, Medellin, Colombia, the Latin American bishops came out with a statement that got an awful lot of publicity, and that was a preferential option for the poor. So at that point, we had to say to ourselves, even though that we were in a very remote area and we were running a high school, that the question was, could we do more to reach out to the needy? And fortunately, a Guatemalan brother decided that the answer to the question was definitely yes, and he proceeded to put together a program that eventually became extremely successful, but it was radical at the time. By the time Brother James and I became staff people in this program, it had grown to 150. As a result of that structure, we had, of the 150 young men in the Casa Indígena, close to 100 were on the honor roll every time the reports were issued. And they took the studies seriously, and a lot of times they were the only members of their families who had gotten as far as high school. Many of these young men became teachers, and still are becoming teachers, and were professionals. It was a time of tremendous repression. I remember distinctly going to one of the young men whose radio was turned on, and I asked him what he was listening to, and it happened to be a Jesuit priest who had been brainwashed, and he was talking about the De La Salle Christian Brothers as being part of a group that was against the government. And this young man just turned to me and said something to the effect that you should take that as a compliment, meaning that we were in solidarity with these young men. And I think just knowing that they appreciated the opportunity to finish high school, and that meant automatically that they were eligible to go on to the state university. All you needed was a high school diploma to be admitted into a university in Guatemala. Didn't make any difference what your grades were. If you had that diploma, that meant that you were automatically accepted into the state university. That was a tremendous source of satisfaction, and I think that really kept me going. I'm sure it kept Brother Santiago going. If you take the side of people who are economically poor, then you're mistreated the way that the economically poor people are mistreated. And that's exactly what happened to Brother Santiago Miller. There was no doubt that he was really reaching out to the people most in need. The first time that I met Brother James was actually, which actually ended up being the last 400 days of his life. We went around the room, well, we prayed about this first of all. We went around the room and individually and collectively we said, let's remain here for as long as we possibly can. The morning of February 13th, Brother Santiago came into the office where I was working and said to me, I'll be going on a picnic with my class because it was Friendship Day, that was the following day. Mm-hmm. And later on that day, he decided to patch a wall right outside the entrance to Casa Indígena, and I'm sure that in his mind he was thinking that I'm on the property. Mm-hmm. I'm not outside. I'm sure that's what he was thinking, and unfortunately he was on a stepladder when the three men with guns approached, and he was shot from the ladder he was standing on. I'm so pleased that the service community here at St. Mary's College carries the name of Brother Santiago Miller. It's just such an honor. He would be really delighted to know that the service community is named after him. And he would be the first one to admit that some of what he did and some of the ways in which he behaved weren't too saintly. But once again, that was because he was speaking up for the rights of the people. And when everything is said and done, I'm proud of that.